Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my brand new Superman movie video for the new 2025 movie that James Gunn has been in the middle of shooting. We got a first look at Superman, the actual red trunks, like the full Superman suit, just a little while ago, but they're still filming, and we got a bunch of new scenes of one of the villains in the movie, too, and a couple other big characters, like Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo. So a lot of people have questions about what's going on with this character in black. Like, this is Black Noir from The Boys? What's going on here? Don't worry, we actually have a pretty good idea of what's going on, so we'll explain everything. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. It also seems like we spotted Krypto on set because James Gunn did say that Krypto was going to be in the movie, or he implied it. I don't think he said it outright, but we actually saw what looks like Krypto in the movie on set with them filming. And Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner Green Lantern was also spotted on set, so I'll talk about him at the end of the video too. But in this scene, we can actually see Superman in cuffs. Seems familiar, like Henry Cavill's Superman submitting to the military, letting them arrest him. Like Superman seems like he's letting them put him in cuffs. He's being walked to the Metropolis City Hall by a bunch of members of the regular military, the engineer from the Authority comics, who seems like she's working with Lex Luthor in the military. Frank Grillo's character, who's playing Rick Flag Sr., the father of Rick Flag Jr., who Peacemaker killed during the Suicide Squad movie, which is technically DCEU, not canon to the DCU. And this character in black, everybody's been making the Black Noir jokes about. The real big question people have been asking about is, who is this character? Fun fact, notice how he happens to be the exact same size as Superman. I think this is meant to be Lex Luthor's clone of Superman that he extracted his DNA from at some point in the past, grew the clone, and he'll be like his evil version of Superman he controls. And that's why in the movie, he's got this full suit on, Black Noir, boys style, to make a boys joke, so that nobody can see that it's actually Superman underneath that mask. The goggles do kind of look like classic Doomsday's goggles, though. There was actually an alternate version of Superman on Superman and Lois that became a version of Doomsday because of what Lex Luthor did. I'll talk about him in a second. The most recent report is that the movie is going to feature two versions of Superman, regular David Corenswit's Superman, and here's where we get to the Henry Cavill twist. An evil version of Superman. People keep referring to him as Ultraman, but James Gunn confirmed that it's not a multiverse movie. The multiverse does not figure into the plot in any way. Everything is meant to be happening in the new, rebooted Justice League universe. If you're not a big comic book reader, Ultraman is the Earth 3 crime syndicate version of Superman. He was literally just featured prominently as a main character during the recent Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths movie that released earlier this year.
Don't you think it's a bit absurd to use the emergency beacon in the middle of this? Hell's breaking loose all over this stupid planet.
So I think the people that are calling this evil Superman Ultraman are just using that as shorthand for evil Superman. Bizarro would be another example, but Bizarro isn't evil Superman. He's also just Superman from another universe, Earth 29, another multiverse character. Also featured prominently during that Superman and Lois TV show in live action. They even turned Bizarro from that TV show into a version of Doomsday from the comics by having that version of Lex Luthor kill him over and over again, making him regenerate until his body forms into a Doomsday-like appearance. Supposedly, the evil Superman in this new James Gunn Superman movie will be a clone of David Corenswit's Superman made by Lex Luthor, who James Gunn was posting about. Like, he was posting about Lex Luthor, mostly to clarify that he would be the main villain of the movie. That was where all the confusion was. Some people thought that this evil Superman was going to be the main villain. James Gunn was mostly trying to shoot that down, that Lex Luthor would be the main villain. So it sounds like this evil Superman that Lex Luthor is going to create, if that's the case, is just going to be a mid-boss. In fact, the funny thing, this actually might sound familiar because they used a very similar plot for the Superman Doomsday movie back in 2007.
Superman?
Supermen. He's harvesting Supermen.
Evil Superman? Not on my watch.
Essentially, during that movie, it starts out as like a regular Superman versus Doomsday kind of story. He's thought to have died. Lex Luthor uses the opportunity to take Superman's DNA and clone him a bunch of times, does all kinds of sick, twisted, messed up stuff, playing with the clones, torturing them. One of them kind of goes mad, winds up escaping, turns into kind of an evil, unchained version of Superman. Then the regular version of Superman is found to have survived Doomsday, has to come back and stop this evil Superman clone. If you haven't watched a lot of those older animated movies, some of them go really hard, like they're really good. DC's always had really solid animated stuff. And a lot of the live action movies and TV shows wind up cribbing from those animated movies. The other weird thing is that a while ago, James Gunn said that Lex Luthor would not be the main villain of the movie, so I don't know why he's posting now that he will be the main villain. Maybe he was just trying to mislead people in the past. There have been a lot of directors, especially at Marvel, that will do stuff like this. Like the Russos very clearly tried to mislead people about the title of Avengers Endgame because people guessed it like right after Avengers Infinity War. Like, oh, he said Endgame during the movie. Does that mean that the next Avengers movie will be Avengers Endgame? And they're like, no, absolutely not. When very clearly, yes, that was the title. James Gunn didn't say anything about this evil version of Superman, like he didn't confirm or shoot down any rumors about that, so that means that he's probably still in the movie because James Gunn does shoot stuff down pretty regularly. If he wasn't going to be in the movie, James Gunn would probably say, no, there's not going to be any kind of evil Superman clone, that's ridiculous, which he obviously did not. Early theory right now is that Lex Luthor would just turn him loose, he might lose control of him, he'll go full Homelander on the Earth, and David Cornswell will have to stop him somehow. Even though he's a clone, he'd have the exact same power level as the regular Superman, so it'd be like Superman versus unhinged Superman. For those people wondering what a fight between Superman and Homelander would be like, there's been a lot of fan edits of that, no surprise.
No God. The only man in the sky is me.
And for those of you that don't watch The Boys, Homelander is meant to be a dark parody of Superman. The Seven on The Boys are meant to be a parody of the Justice League. But in reality, like if you're actually talking about a matchup, Superman would wreck Homelander, mostly because Homelander can never become more powerful than he is right now. Like his level of strength and his abilities are totally fixed. Superman continues to get more powerful the more radiation from Earth's yellow sun that he absorbs, so even if the fight were evenly matched when they started, all Superman would have to do is take a sunlight bath in space for a week, and Homelander wouldn't have a chance. And speaking of Henry Cavill's Superman, doesn't this whole Lex Luthor Superman clone twist remind you of Batman v Superman, where Lex Luthor used his own DNA mixed with Zod's DNA and the Kryptonian ship to create Doomsday, then turning him loose on Superman? James Gunn's version would be a totally different story, like it's not the exact same plot. What he said about the movie so far just makes this evil Superman clone sound more like a Kryptonian gigadouche, more like the Eradicator's personality for all you longtime comic book Superman fans.
You know, Metropolis is doing just fine without you. I'm not sure I approve of your methods. I'm not asking for your approval.
There've been a couple different depictions of the Eradicator on the different Superman TV shows in the past. But I think James Gunn might be using that character to help David Cornswell's Superman reconcile his two cultures, like his Kryptonian heritage and his life on Earth, and decide who he's going to be, like what kind of Superman he is going to be. Whereas evil Superman sounds more like he's going to be a total douchebag that Lex Luthor creates with the hopes of having his own personal attack dog that can help him get rid of Superman, then have someone as powerful as Superman that he's able to control and can use that to maintain control over the Earth. We'll see what winds up happening to this alternate version of Superman in the movie. The really easy prediction to make is that Superman will wind up fighting him at some point and defeating him. Here's where we get to Krypto, the superdog. They're actually doing Krypto during the movie, it seems like. Notice Mr. Terrific running through these streets in the middle of this action scene. He's checking his phone. He also has a box of dog treats. That's the clue for Krypto. I think they're just doing Krypto in this particular action scene as a complete visual effect, like completely in post-production. But in some other scenes in the movie, they'll have an actual dog playing Krypto. The other interesting thing about Mr. Terrific, zoom and enhance, notice he has a Lord Tech symbol in the middle of his chest. This is like a Lord Tech ad on one of the buildings nearby. So in the context of the movie, it seems like he owns an electronics corporation that makes a lot of technology. My guess is that Mr. Terrific just uses a lot of his technology to build a lot of his own special Mr. Terrific specific tech, like his T-spheres. This is the best look that we've gotten at Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner on set. Like, he's covered by all these umbrellas. Like, notice they really want to keep the cameras off of him. Like, no, we don't want to show what he actually looks like or what his costume looks like. We'll probably get a better look at that in the next couple of weeks at some point. A lot of his character will have to be as a visual effect just because of the way his powers work. This is actually our first actual look at Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor in all of his bald glory. It looks like he cut himself shaving a couple times, or maybe he was in the middle of a fight scene and that's why he got cut. Fun fact too, someone actually spotted this on set as part of the set decoration in the background. I don't know if we'll actually see this in the context of the movie or if it's just going to be blurry in the background. But it's meant to be the history of Metropolis based on lore taken directly from the Atlas of the DC Universe lore book that was published a long time ago. I just did a larger video on that first look at Superman with the trunks and some of the Easter eggs that we spotted around set. Like there's all kinds of Easter eggs for comic book creators and people in the lore and the history of Superman in real life. I am sure there's going to be a billion Easter eggs like this across the entire movie. Like my breakdown Easter egg video will have to be 2 hours long just to fit everything in. If there's anything else you spotted or any references in the first looks that we got so far that I didn't talk about in this video or my last video, just write them below in the comments. Big question now is, will we see this version of Ultraman or Evil Superman, whatever they call him, in that first trailer or the second trailer even? Kind of reminds you way back in the day with Batman v Superman with Zack Snyder putting Doomsday in the actual trailer. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We're in the middle of Boys Season 4 episodes. My House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 3 video will post on Sunday. Everybody click here for my brand new Boys Season 4 episodes, and click here for that other Superman first look of his suit and the other Easter eggs around the set. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.